This is the Performing Songwriter, and my name is Ray Naylor. My guest today is Jeanette. Lisa is not only a songwriter, but a multi-instrumentalist. People love to hear her voice, and you'll hear it right away after I say, I'll be back to talk to Jeanette in a few minutes, but here she is singing two of her original songs here on the Performing Songwriter.
The song is called Pearl. When I was in 8th grade, we had a student government election, and I was on the ballot, and I did not vote for myself. And it haunted me ever since. And this song is about, if you could go back and tell yourself something, what would you tell yourself? And in this instance, I would have told myself to vote for myself every time. It's called Pearl. If you had told that little girl a grain of sand becomes a pearl, life wouldn't always be so rough. You don't have to be so tough, and you would be enough. If you had told her she was fine, and that it was good to be kind, and that love was truly blind, love was truly blind, true love you will find. What a difference it would make. It's okay, make your mistakes. There's something that's called grace that comes along right when you feel done. I wish I could go back in time and have the confidence I've yet to find. I'd be wiser, I'd be bolder, I'd be brave just like a soldier, probably wishing I was older. If I have only one regret, it would be where I place my bets. I'd be the long shot I'm behind, I'd vote for me every time and pray that I was right. What a difference it would make. It's okay, make your mistakes. There's something that's called grace. It comes along right when you feel done. By the grace of God, I am not done. And in some ways, I've just begun. And I long to be someone touched by the sun long before I'm gone. What a difference it would make. It's okay, make your mistakes. There's something that's called grace. It comes along right when you feel done. What a difference it would make. It's okay, make your mistakes. There's something that's called grace. It comes along right when you feel done. By the grace of God, I am not done. By the grace of God, I am not done. By the grace of God, I am not done. By the grace of God, I am not done. So this next song is about aging. Topic I never thought I'd be writing about, ever. But I'm just going to go right into this one. I never thought I'd be around to watch my hair turn silver brown overnight. For all the fears the world lays bare, to be afraid of my own hair isn't right. So I embrace the gray, although it seems so radical and strange. But if wisdom comes with hair of white, I'll dance into the dark night, embracing change. Oh no, I won't hang on to who I used to be. Oh no, I am moving on, getting closer, positively free, aging like a son of a bee. La da dum, la da dum, da da dee dee da. dum, da da dum, da da dum. I've been around enough to know that hearts that break grow 7 times their size. And those who we admire are strong, to place on pedestals is wrong, I realize. But I'd do it all again, make all the same friends and love with no bounds. For lonely in my darkest hour, the hand of God in all its power turns me right around. Oh no, I won't hang on to who I used to be. Oh no, I am moving on, getting closer, positively free, aging like a son of a bee. Da-dee-dum, la-da-dum, da-da-dee-dee-da, da-dum, la-da-dum, la-da-dum. You might see my hair aqua blue, or there may surface a tattoo along the way. For though I'm standing in my truth, I might steal a lesson from the youth and play. So I say you do you and I'll be me, and we'll all just be fine. For those who are close to me well know I play with puzzles and Legos and color outside the lines. Oh no, I won't hang on to who I used to be. Oh no, I'm moving on, getting closer, positively free, aging like a son of a bee. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. Liberating song.
Lisa Jeanette.
Ray Naylor.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Now, I was reading, I guess, your website, and I didn't know, because we've known each other for a few years, I didn't know that you played, I knew you played guitar. I didn't know that you played piano and bass. Mm-hmm. Now I know it. So I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about your musical journey and then how it led you to songwriting.
Okay, so my brothers had guitars when I was growing up, so I would try to timeshare the guitar and steal theirs and learn how to play. And I was influenced a lot by my family because, you know, I had a brother that listened to Led Zeppelin nonstop, and another brother that listened to Neil Young, and another brother that was into prog rock and that sort of thing. So I had a lot of influences going on in the house, being youngest of 9. And so it started there. It started in the house. And my mother, she loved Ray Charles. She loved musical theater. She loved Debussy's Clair de Lune, which makes me cry every time because she put us down for our naps for that. So the classical, the rock, and then I had older siblings that were like into Motown, and so I had a lot of this influence going on. And then I ended up somehow playing bass in high school, and ended up going to Temple University and getting my degree in double bass performance. And that was a wonderful experience. I studied with one of the Philadelphia Orchestra members, Henry Scott, and I got my lessons in the Academy of Music. And so that was also a very great experience. And I currently play my bass for Mainline Symphony, which is a community orchestra. Wow. And we have a concert on Friday, actually. So
music is obviously a big part of your life. Mm-hmm. What does it mean? What does music mean to you?
I think it's an outlet. For me, sometimes it's hard for me to identify an emotion. I know I have an emotion. I'm reacting to something, and I don't know exactly how to name it. So when I write a song, I'm naming that emotion. It's coming, and to me, it's so cathartic because it's, I'm getting it out in words and in music, and it just helps me so much to be at peace, whatever that emotion is.
Who are some of your influences?
I would say, like, all those, my family mostly. And then like Joni Mitchell, Carly Simon, I love, Billy Joel, Elton John, James Taylor. There's so many. I feel bad, like I'm not going to name someone that really, there's just so many. And I just love, mostly when I want to be comforted, I go to the 70s, I guess because I was a young child then, and it's, I love music of the 70s.
Did your parents play that on their record player?
Yeah, I guess we did. Yeah, so I think that was it. Mm-hmm.
You've been active in the recent women's marches, and what's happening like politically and socially, does that come across in any of your songs?
Yeah, so I never was, I got probably politically active very late in life. But I wrote, the first song I wrote was Agree to Disagree, that was sort of about the political environment and atmosphere. And that was sort of like, oh gosh, can't we just agree to disagree? But then as time evolved and as things started to get worse in our country, I started to get away from, this isn't just about agreeing to disagree. There's things that are really going wrong and things that I can't stand for. And, to me, I do some things in my community. I have done some protest for the first time in my life. I've done it with people that have done it before. And, I'm lucky to have strong women in my life that really are a good model for me and showing me the way. But to me, it's just something I have to do. I can't just stand by and watch things go on that I can't agree with.
Now, I think you're going to perform a song later on your keyboards about the shooting in Florida at the school. Mm-hmm. And that just happened. You wrote that song, in 2 days or something?
In a couple days, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way I write, actually. I write, usually it takes 2-4 hours, and then I'm done. And then there might be some tweaks and some phrases and things like that, but I usually sit down and I write and it's over. It's not a really lengthy process for me. And I question it sometimes because I think, well, maybe I should be tweaking it more and more. But yeah, that's kind of, it comes out quick. It's an emotion that I got to get out.
I was looking on your website, and it's on one page you have, to me, they're like blogs. Mm-hmm. And the writing is really good.
Thank you.
Is that something you've been doing for some time?
I've always written. I mean, being a songwriter, you're a writer. But I also always enjoyed creative writing. And I write a lot for my work as well. So I do like to write.
So it's another outlet for you,
yes,
creativity-wise.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now we're going to hear two more songs. And but before we do that, we're going to see part of a video with our next guest, and make sure I get, it's Mike Hers, and this particular song is called it's called Another Summer, and he sings it with somebody that was on the show some time ago, Emily Barnes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we're going to listen to that, and then Lisa will be back to sing 2 more songs on the keyboard.
The birds are harmonizing to their morning song. If I find the note, then I can try to hum along. It goes I tried leaving, but it's not easily done. Every man you meet, well, that's somebody's son. So many times I've made it past the mountain range, but when I get too far, my heart starts to feel strange. It goes on, 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 on. My heart goes on, and I understand. It's all what you make it while you're making other plans, and I can roll on through.
This song is called Safer When It Rains, and it started a little bit about rain, and I have a brother-in-law who I love, who was, he's a retired Philadelphia police officer, And he once told me, when I lived in a rough neighborhood, that criminals don't generally work in the rain. He says it's not general. It's just a general. Like, of course, crime happens in the rain, but generally criminals don't work in the rain. And I always felt safer when I would walk the streets of Philadelphia and go to work and ride the L. And when it would rain, I would be like, I feel safe. So that's kind of what it stormed out of. But also, it was also this feeling that if you grow up in a certain amount of chaos, and being like the youngest of 9, I have, that you kind of get used to chaos and you're safer when things are rough sometimes. So that's how this song kind of came out. Safer when it rains. I feel much safer when it rains. I like to feel it pouring on my skin. My pores, I let it seep in. You won't hear me complain. I feel much safer when it rains. Where I come from, the sky is small. Sometimes you can't see it at all, unless you're tall. I know the sky will never fall. Where I come from, the sky is small. It's hard to tell who's good, who's cruel. And someone always sends me back to school. Back to school to learn the lesson again. I know what's right from what is wrong. Might not be tough, but I am strong. So strong. You might be here, you might be gone. I know what's right from what is wrong. It's hard to tell who's good, who's cruel. And someone always sends me back to school. Back to school to learn the lesson again. I feel much safer when it rains. I like to feel it pouring on my skin. My pores, I let it seep in. You won't hear me complain. I feel much safer when it rains. I feel much safer when it rains. I feel much safer when it rains. This song is called Money for Blood, and I wrote it about the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Florida that happened on February 14th, 2018. We are taught to raise our hands and run away. We all know that this can happen any day. We all know the drill that makes us ill, the drill that puts holes in our plans. We are children learning just how to get by, knowing that at any moment we can die at the hands of someone buying a gun legally just to hunt me. It's not the fault of a child going to school. It's not the fault of a mentally ill and dangerous fool. It's not the fault that our prayers just aren't strong enough. It's the fool on the hill taking money for blood. Nicholas had swam right into UND. He swam so well he would be going there for free. Now we're swimming in what might have been for him. And what will never be, Alyssa always kept her eyes upon the ball. Playing soccer made her feel so strong and tall. She was creative, she could write like no other, and all she had to offer the world was love. It's not the fault of a child going to school. It's not the fault of a mentally ill and dangerous fool. It's not the fault that our prayers just aren't strong enough. It's the fool on the hill taking money for blood. Peter was so brave to join the ROTC, spending weekends learning how to protect me. It didn't have to come to such an end, laying down his young life for his friends. Jeanette joined the Winter Guard and watched guns fight, never knowing by a rifle she would die. She brightened every room, put colors on display, but today is a colorless day. It's not the fault of a child going to school. It's not the fault of a mentally ill and dangerous fool. It's not the fault that our prayers just aren't strong enough. It's the fool on the hill taking money for blood. Scott taught geography, all the places that you'll go. Now for some, they're places they will never know. Somewhere in the din, a child takes it in and cries, I am alive because of him. Aaron, our football coach, became a human shield. Died as he lived, left it all out on the field. We can only say that heroes died today, and we need heroes. We need heroes here. It's not the fault of a child going to school. It's not the fault of a mentally ill and dangerous fool. It's not the fault that our prayers just aren't strong enough. It's the fool on the hill taking money for blood. We are taught to raise our hands and run away. We all know that this can happen any day.
That was a slide of some of the shows we're going to have in the next couple months, and we hope to see you. Another thing I've been reading on your website is issues you've had over time with depression. And I wanted to ask you about that, but it reminds me of a book on Phil Oakes, which I read several times, where he was having a really hard time writing in the 70s, before he died. And people would say he's depressed because he couldn't write songs, whereas in reality, he couldn't write songs because he was depressed. And I wanted to ask you, when you've gone through that, has that affected your songwriting or your whatever, creativity?
Yes, I would agree with that. I think it's when you're stuck in an emotion, and that's why it's so healthy to write songs. It's to get it out. When you can't get it out and it's overwhelming you, I think your creativity just shrinks, and it makes it very difficult.
Your CD, which we have right here, is called Chasing Happy. Where did that title come from?
I guess things started getting better for me in life, and I always felt like I wanted to chase something, and all the things you do in life you think that it's going to be better. You think you're going to move to a certain place and that'll be better. Or I wish I, had a nicer car. Or I wish, whatever it is, those things that you wish in life. And, I got to a certain point where I realized I was happy. I was like, I'm happy now. I mean, I guess I'd like a different house or a different car maybe, but or a better guitar. I'd love a Taylor, hint. Hint to Rich. I'd love different things, but I realized that, and the lyric is, I've been chasing happy so it can't keep up with me. So if you're always focused on the thing that's ahead and never just enjoying the moment and enjoying what's now, you might miss out on the things that are beautiful about your life right now.
And you're doing some new recording, right?
Yes.
What's that about?
I want to release some singles. I do have a concept for another album, but I think I'm going to do that just because it took so long the first time. I think I might get into a cycle of singles and then an album. But I think the album will be called Tick of the Clock. I have a song called Tick of the Clock. And I write a lot. I average about one song a month. And that's a lot for me.
It's a lot, it's a lot.
That's just my cycle, and so there's a lot. I have a lot of songs. I have like 42 songs copyrighted at this point, so it's just a matter of getting them. There's only 13 here, so I have a lot of work to do.
If people want to learn about your music and about you, what would be the best way to do that?
Probably lisajeanette.com is the best way. I'm on Spotify and all the sites, iTunes and Google Play and all those places as well. But my website probably has the blog. So I have song spoilers, which tell the background of a song, which that was a choice. There is a theory that maybe you shouldn't tell people what the song meant, let them come to their own conclusions. And I thought, well, I'll just call it a song spoiler and tell them what I was thinking. So I do a little bit of that because a lot of people do like to know the story behind the song.
Lisa, Jeanette, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. This is great.
For coming on.
I really am honored.
And we'll be back in a couple weeks with Mike Hers, and he will be here. See you then.